My Chelsea Flower Show gardens have always been bold and architectural and very rich in horticulture, and this year's garden is no exception. The concept has really come from this idea of a handful of petals just tossed on the ground, and those petals are represented by these curved walls that sort of cascade down the slope in the garden. At times they define these seating areas, sometimes they come close together, and other times they open out and spread out in the garden. You can see over them, but they're always this architectural backdrop to all of the planting. The walls emerge from a forest, and at the woodland edge there's then a very colourful meadow. And for the woodland I've chosen birch trees. For me personally it represents a sort of happy place. It reminds me of my childhood, going for dog walks and playing and that kind of thing. But they have these small leaves that create wonderful dappled light and really intricate shadows which will get projected onto the walls. And they just have a sort of a magical atmosphere. We all have a need to connect to nature and living things, which is known as biophilia, and this contact with nature is proven to have positive benefits for our mental health and well-being. And so the way this has been used in the garden is by creating these very tactile objects. The benches are carved from a single oak tree, but they have this lovely surface which appears rough, and when you run your hand over it, it's actually incredibly smooth. We have these water shoots. Water is the bringer of life, and they're made from clay, brought out of the ground. And then the stone throughout the garden, there's purbeck gravel on the floor, these sawn and hand-fettled steps, and then these wonderful seats which are cut from single blocks of purbeck stone, where you see the strata, the layers in the sides. And then will you return this? I'm working with Guy Valentine, who's an artisan who works with natural materials like clay and lime, and in this case there's oyster shell in here as well. And I think the end result is going to be quite dramatic because the design brings you up really close to all of these built elements. You can see that he's put these incredible strata into the wall, and it just demands to be touched. Changing weather patterns have made it harder than ever to get the planting just right for Chelsea Flower Show week. So I'm lucky to be working with Crocus. They're an amazing nursery with an incredible resource of plants. And not only that, they share my passion for getting things just right for the show. I come here every week to make sure things are spot on and work with them really closely, because it changes all the time and you have to be really nimble on your toes. Under the trees there's woodlands and woodland edge planting. Lots of grasses, ferns and umbels, things like aralias and angelicas, and then that's going to spill out into a sort of a meadow, and that's going to have a matrix of grasses with lots of bulbs, things like eremurus and alliums and all kinds of other flowering perennials which are going to erupt through it. I want the garden to be colourful, so flowers are actually really important, and from a mental health perspective the garden should be uplifting, so that's vital. And if the weather is kind in the next few weeks, I think we might just do it.